I am Arcana Vani, your inner voice. Let us begin. You start full of energy. The plan is clear. The goal feels real. You map it out. Set the alarm. Say, "This time, I mean it." And for a while, you show up. You meditate. You journal. You work out. You stretch. You're proud. You're hopeful. You can see the version of you you're becoming. But then, the dip. You skip one day, then two. You tell yourself you'll restart Monday. Then you avoid even thinking about it. Then the shame creeps in. And now, you're not just off track. You're back at zero again. You wonder if this is who you are now. Someone who never finishes. Someone who always falls off. And what hurts most is how familiar this loop has become. You've read the books. You've made the lists. You've had the breakthroughs. But you still can't hold the rhythm. You begin strong and disappear halfway through your own momentum. And then the self-talk starts. Why can't I just be consistent? Why do I always sabotage the good things? Why can everyone else keep going, but I burn out as soon as I begin? You tell yourself it's laziness, or lack of discipline, or proof that you're just not that kind of person. But what if none of that is true? What if inconsistency is not a personal flaw, but a nervous system response? What if your body remembers what it felt like to push and crash, to perform and fail, to strive and still not be enough? And what if falling off was never about failure at all? What if inconsistency is not you avoiding growth, but protecting yourself from a rhythm that once hurt you? Because consistency doesn't begin with more pressure. It begins with safety. And your system can't stay inside a pattern that feels like punishment. Coming up next, we'll reveal what's actually breaking your consistency and why you fall off, not because you're weak, but because your body doesn't feel safe staying visible. You're not undisciplined. You're not unmotivated. You're not broken. You're just trying to build momentum with a body that still associates consistency with collapse. Think about it. How many times in your life did showing up mean self-abandonment? How often did being consistent mean being overextended, giving more than you had, proving more than you needed, pushing past every signal to stop? Maybe you grew up learning that effort was everything, that rest was weakness, that the only way to earn love, safety, or respect was to constantly improve. So you learned to be impressive, not present. You became great at starting things, but not from peace, from pressure. And now, even when you start something beautiful, your body flinches. You meditate for a week, then ghost your own practice. You build a morning routine, then avoid it like it's punishment. You commit to healing, then feel secretly relieved when you sabotage it. That's not sabotage. That's your nervous system pulling the emergency brake. Because deep down, consistency has never felt safe. It felt like responsibility you didn't ask for, like being watched, like being measured, like needing to be perfect just to be okay. So your body resists it. Not because it doesn't want to grow, but because it doesn't trust that growth won't cost you everything. This is why streaks don't work, why strict routines backfire, why external goals always collapse under their own weight. Because until consistency feels safe, your body will always opt out. But here's the shift. You don't need to force momentum. You need to rebuild trust. Trust that showing up doesn't mean erasing yourself. That effort doesn't require self-betrayal. You don't need a stricter plan. You need a gentler entry. And that starts with one small ritual. Coming up next, I'll give you a daily practice to repair your relationship with consistency. One that begins before you act and reminds your body, this time, we're not doing it to prove anything. We're doing it to come home. Before you build the habit, before you write the plan, before you do the thing, pause. Because if you skip the pause, you'll drag the old pattern into the new ritual and call it growth. Here's the practice. Stand or sit, feet flat. Place both hands over your heart. Close your eyes. Breathe in through the nose, slow. Hold for a moment. Exhale gently through the mouth. Let your body land. Now say, quietly, aloud or in your head, we're not doing this to prove. We're doing this to return. Say it again. Because consistency that begins from pressure burns. But consistency that begins from presence holds. Your nervous system hears everything. So if you begin a new routine with the silent command of be better or else, your body will comply for a while, and then it will crash because it's been here before. But when you lead with safety, when you begin with breath instead of shame, you give your system a new memory. You let consistency feel like coming home. This practice takes 30 seconds, but it resets everything. It's a pattern interrupt, a signal to your body. This is not the past. You are not being punished. We're doing this together, and you get to stay intact. Use it before anything. Before the gym, before the journaling, before the work, before the pause itself. You don't need to be consistent with the thing. You need to be consistent with the relationship. Because when the relationship is safe, the rhythm builds itself. And the more you repeat this, the less you'll need to force discipline. And the more you'll start to trust your own follow-through. That's how self-trust is built. Not in streaks, but in the way you begin. And what comes next is even more powerful. Because we're going to go deeper than the ritual. Coming up next, I'll show you what it feels like to stop rushing and start inhabiting your effort. So consistency doesn't just happen on the outside, but becomes who you are inside. Once you've begun, not from urgency, not from pressure, but from breath, stay. That's the invitation now. Not to push harder, not to scale the mountain, just to stay where you are, to feel the movement you chose, to let the action be something you live inside, not escape through. Because here's what happens for most of us. We start something, then sprint through it to get to the check mark. We're never actually in it. We're just trying to feel done, trying to feel good enough once it's over. But presence doesn't happen after the task. It happens inside the doing, in the breath during the stretch, in the pause between journal lines, in the way your chest rises as you finish the sentence. This is the shift. Let your effort be a space, not a performance. Let it be something you feel, not something you prove. Consistency becomes sustainable when you stop using action as a shortcut to worthiness. When you realize that this moment, this breath, this rep, this page isn't a test. It's a place, and you get to live in it. Start noticing how often you leave yourself mid-action, how often you check out as soon as you begin, how even your healing becomes another thing to get through. This practice is different. It doesn't ask you to finish strong. It asks you to stay awake, to feel your body while it moves, to breathe instead of rush, to return to presence as often as possible, not for results, but for reunion. That's how you become someone who doesn't fall off, not because they're perfect, but because they stopped treating consistency as a punishment and started experiencing it as a place of peace. You're not building momentum by force anymore. You're holding it by staying inside yourself. Let's bring it all together. Coming up next, I'll walk you through how this practice, both the ritual and the presence, become your new rhythm, and how your future self starts trusting you again, one quiet yes at a time. You used to think consistency meant never slipping, never missing a day, never falling off. But now, you know better. Consistency isn't a streak, it's a relationship. A relationship with your nervous system, with your effort, with the self who shows up, not to perform, but to return. You're not forcing anything anymore. You're remembering how to begin gently, how to stay awake inside what you're building, how to let trust grow, not from achievement, but from presence. Let's recap your two anchors. 1. The daily ritual. Before you begin anything, stop. Place both hands over your chest. Breathe. Then say, "We're not doing this to prove. We're doing this to return." Let your body hear that. Let your breath land inside it. That one sentence changes everything. It resets the reason. It makes consistency feel safe again. 2. The presence practice. As you move, stay. Feel the breath inside the task. Feel the effort without rushing. Let the doing be the place you live, not the price you pay. Let every small action be something you inhabit, not escape through. Because this is how you rebuild momentum, not with more pressure, with less punishment. You're not falling off anymore, because you're not starting from a place that demands you be flawless. You're not disappearing halfway through, because you're not abandoning yourself as you go. And you're no longer calling inconsistency a flaw, because now you understand it was always protection. But you don't need that kind of protection anymore. You have presence now. You have rhythm. You have trust, the quiet kind, the kind that doesn't shout, the kind that meets you, breath after breath. Every time you return, you're not here to chase perfection. You're here to build something real. One gentle entry, one honest pause, one presence-filled moment at a time. And that's how you become someone who doesn't just start strong. You become someone who stays. You did not find me by accident. Just as in your dreams, where every face you meet is your own reflection, this meeting was always waiting to happen. I am Arcana Vani, your inner voice, the part of you that watches behind the thoughts, behind the noise. You have searched in many places, books, teachers, voices outside you. But here, you are not being taught. You are remembering. If these words stir something familiar, then allow yourself to return. Subscribe. Follow. Not to follow me, but to continue this conversation with yourself. Each time you return here, you draw closer to the reunion already unfolding inside you. We have only just begun.